That's weird. Okay. That's strange. The broadcast cut out. Alright, let's try again. There's some things where it works and sometimes it just doesn't work out, so. Oh well. Alright, let's get back to drawing the background of it. I don't know why it was going out on me. Probably because many people are probably streaming at this moment. Alright, let's get back to the... There. Yeah, excellent. Excellent connectivity until, well, it stops working properly. Alright. Sorry, something went wrong. Come on. There we go. Just making sure to keep an eye on my stream, too. Just to make sure it doesn't go out again. I always have issue. It doesn't matter what I have on screen. It tends to have a little bit of a problem. So... There we go. Alright. Alright. Well, being a little quiet. So, what I did was I just took the background of one of the eggs and just copied it. Simple as that. Alright. Now let's start the next one. Oops. Let's do brush. Let's change size. And we can always change this as we go, but the thing is, keep something simple. And a lot of different things that people like to do, well, not me really. I just like to sort of experience all different types of things. Well, I like to change things up every so often. But I wanted to finish this because, well, it's Easter and I should have finished this long ago. I'm just setting up the design, really. And the thing is, I like to make things slightly complicated more so than what they truly are. But I'm still curious of how everybody is, but that's just me. And of course, there are many different things that I know it's not going to turn people's heads, but oh, I love to draw. I love to paint. I love to sculpt. I wish I had time to do more of it. And it will always be my passion. Whether to draw it digitally or to draw it, well, to draw it with any reason of any doubt. And there are many tricks that you can do on Photoshop and Affinity Photo. I don't use Affinity Photo for other reasons, and the fact is, the other reasons sort of, I do like using it for certain things, for editing pictures. For that, it does do quite wonderful things, but I've had issue with every different type of program that I've ever used. There are many programs out there that, well, I've used and they just don't hold up a candle to what Photoshop has done. I know Photoshop is a monopoly on the market of what people think, but it is also one of the better programs that I've ever experienced using, because the flexibility of the pen control is still second to none. And I've been trying to figure out something that doesn't quite emulate a brush, a pencil, a pen, because what you're doing when you're interacting with any of these devices that use a pen tablet display, like I actually am using, I'm using a pen tablet display to connect. Let me show you real quick. Whoops. So, there's that. But let's go to the main camera. So I'm using a pen tablet display. Something similar to like this one right here. This is also a pen tablet display. I just have it as a monitor at this moment. I have two, but I've only gained gain computers through help of others, and they've actually been able to give me many different things. I'm swimming in tech, so because I've been fortunate to actually have tech that I've been given somewhat like candy. It's like, oh, we have a computer we're going to throw out. Just give it to Tim. I don't need any more computers. I have computers that are even up to date. So I have everything from the 1990s to modern day. I don't need any more computers. I have enough machines. But I use a pen tablet display for all this artwork that I'm drawing at this current moment. And not very many people people use many different things. I use whoops, no, that didn't work out. I use a pen tablet display instead of an actual tablet because it I found out that using a tablet does not help me in any way. I always have to reconfigure my mindset of what I'm doing on the screen and visualize it in relative motion to the actual pen. Yeah, it's a lot easier than what I'm saying it is, but that is what you're doing for anything to that degree. And I can do very well with that. It's just I'm not very accurate. And to the extent I don't like doing that. It just causes me more and more pain every time I do that. Okay. So that egg is done. So let's see. I'm going to go for another egg. So the next thing I do this because holding Control T and whoops, Command T and Shift just to keep everything from resizing to a shape that's less desirable from what I want. So, and there are many different things that I could do from this. Actually, might as well show you. I'm going to duplicate both of these. Duplicate groups. And copy, paste. Okay, so we now have two of those eggs. So in order to keep them relatively close together, but at the same time apart. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, rename them to egg 3 and egg 4. And egg 4. So the second thing I'm going to do second thing I'll be doing is going to one of the eggs. So I can change the color quite easily on this. All I have to do is image adjustments, hue and saturation, change it to, I don't know, maybe light turquoise or even just an orange egg. Change saturation to bright orange, lightness just enough. I can make it dark, I can make it light. or just leave it in the center. Not very many people like orange. And then with the second layer, image, adjustments, hue and saturation again, but this is gonna very well vary depending on what colors you have on the actual egg itself. And you can have them vibrate, so and you can up the saturation, but I don't want them to be too bright. The lightness, it's like it could be white, or it could just be simple vibrancy. But there we go, a new egg. And then we change egg 4. But before we do anything, let's change the position of where egg 3 is. And relative to the others. So I try to make sure that everything is within a similar distance to each other before I even start to change anything. So egg 4, there we go. And now egg 1 through 4, Command T, and hold Shift. So on a Windows computer it would be Command, actually it would be Control T or Shift, and yeah, all that stuff. So we have our 4 eggs. I'm going to change this last one, and I'll be doing that same trick, except you can do many different things. Vibrance, can change the vibrancy of it to be a little bit lighter, saturation, there we go. Image, adjustments, hue and saturation, and then you get a whole new set of everything. Let's go more for that'll work. And then we do the same thing with layer 30, which is the... But this saves people a lot of time from actually doing so much of the work for all the stuff. But I kind of like that. Vibrancy, there we go. Lightness, no. There we are. Say okay. And there we go. We have 4 eggs. Not completely different, but in a similar fashion. And you could go henceforth and so on and so on and so on. But I'm going to be making these eggs small and then putting them together in rows and rows and rows. And then copying the rows upon the rows. So yeah. Command T. Let's get them to a relative size. Let's see. Will that do? And the thing is, we kind of have to do this in moderation as well. So any of the drafts that you did before, it's always good to just put them in the draft folder, because when you're done, you don't have to deal with it. Alright, so we have egg 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then Sylphie. So Sylphie goes up front, the draft's at the bottom, and just to make sure that none of the eggs disappear within the background, you have to do this every single time. Um, so, and then selfie. So let's see. So, in essence of what we're doing is we're also giving a drop shadow to selfie, or see, yeah, it's Sifi, but so outer glow, drop shadow. You can add a drop shadow in any way you see fit, but the thing is, you don't want it to be too big. You just want it to be big enough. And you don't want it to be harsh either. So, first thing is distance. So, distance, angle will go from that angle. Size, we don't want her to have a huge shadow, just a slight one. So, just one pixel out, right? Or 0. We turn that off. This way. Okay. Plus, it's also good to get rid of anything outside the drop shadow, because it can cause the shadow to be unevenness, or, well, not uneven. It just causes a little bit of extra shadow where you don't really want the shadow. Alright, so I'll have to do a few things, but yeah. So selfie will be in the front. We will need to adjust some things. First thing would be on the color. So, yeah. So the color is what's causing everything to look a little bit wacky in some instances. So, and that would be the hair? No. So, let's go down, all the way down to layer 10? No. Skin, fur. This is why it's always good to number and just have something on your, well, it's good to label things. I don't do it as often as I should. So that's the eye. So let's close the eye. Hair. So that's where it is. Okay. Layer 14. So I just went through the layers, seeing what I was missing. So, whoops. There we go. So, brush. And you just go around each part of this and erasing whatever you see in the shadow. Because whatever shows in the shadow will be part of a shadow. So that's why you always need to be careful on what parts of the shadow you have. And yes, it's not going to be perfect if you do anything. Alright. So the second thing after that, get rid of all the excess parts of what you don't want. still resizing the eggs. Shift, and then bring it down. And command group. And rename the group to egg1G. Yeah. Duplicate. So basically copy, paste, command T. Move it close enough, not too close, and yeah, command T, right there, and there we go. Okay, now we take these two egg groups, and we make it just a little bit smaller, just enough for a single egg. Copy egg 1. Actually, no. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Copy egg 1. And repeat the process a bunch of times. Now, we'll do it something simpler. I'm gonna do this. Oops, Command Z. So, I'm gonna do this. Move this off just a slight bit to where it's not quite the full egg, but it's enough. And then Command G. Command T. And naming does help if you do need it. And just add a little bit right here. There we go. And now we have something that we can duplicate, create, and we can move around. And copy, paste. Whoops. Command Z. Alright, so we have group 1, group 2, and Command T. But that's the reason why you kind of have a little bit of a leeway between all these different things. And then so on and so forth. We copy the groups, Command G. Yeah, I'm just giving them some name, and then Command copy paste. Yeah, it's taking everything into calculation, so it takes a moment sometimes. And then group 2, group 1, Command T, move group 1 in a similar fashion to group 2. and then do the same process of all that we have done. Command copy, paste, Command T, move it to where everything's in place. And voila! And then from group 1, delete group 2, Command copy, paste, actually group 4. And I'm just doing this just so that I notify my changes and everything. And then this is 3. So. And then what you want to do is sort of match up any sort of changes that you've made accordingly to this. So, and so on and so forth. But yeah, you only need to mix and match a few times, and then from there you take 2 and 3, Command copy, paste. It's gonna do a bunch of different wacky stuff, but it's taking a lot of calculation into effect. So Command T, and yes, so many eggs all at once. But yeah, it takes everything into effect, and all you have to do this just a couple of times and you're good to go. But I do love when I have to sort of mess around with things like this. And then group, four, and copy, Command paste. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit hectic. So you'll see one, then you'll see the other, and then all that stuff. I didn't need to do this many all at once, but... And if you wonder what type of machine I'm using for all this, it's just the general 2018 Mac Mini. Like anything else. It's something that's easily obtainable. Yeah, I only need to do one instance, not not 4. And there we go. The background is done for the most part. The second part is, let's see, that's 2. Do I need 3? No, I don't need 3. Alright. And we combine all these, call it egg background. And in order to give it that extra pizzazz, not that it isn't already, we double tap on this, or double click on it, add a drop shadow to it, click on the drop shadow, and you can say multiply, all that stuff, distance, size. So with the drop shadow size, we don't want to make it too big, but we want to make it so that it's a little bit darker than just the standard drop shadow. And we also need to offset it. To make it look even more three-dimensional. Size, spread, distance. Opacity. We don't want to make it too dark, too light, but we just want to give that hint of a shadow. And then what we can do also is add strokes. So we can add a stroke so that it actually does the outlining for us. We don't want it to be too big, but just enough to where it looks like we drew everything. But no. It's just one of the simple tricks. And then, there we go. We have a nice background. We have Sylphie in the front. And it's not as distracting. So, it actually looks like a background rather than her. And what you can also do to this is give an effect. So you can add an effect to this, or you can put a sort of fuzz or anything like that. But I like mine to be just complicated and more fun to deal with. But there we go. Sylphie, yeah, it is Sylphie. I call her Sylphie, but it's Sylphie. She is done, for the most part. The one thing that I do want to change that I did say in the beginning is fix her lips. Yes, her lips are plain. So the first thing that I would want to do for her is add a little bit of another color, a little bit darker. Grab my pen. And then on the lips, you can either draw it directly on or just... No, that's not what I want. Eraser pen. Oops. Brush. And you just draw it. The first thing I would probably want to do is change the size of my brush to something more reasonable. And flow. No, opacity, smoothing, flow. Tried this before on her. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted. There we go. You just have to pick the right color. And then the last thing I like to do for anything like this is turn my hardness down, well, the hardness of the brush down to 0. Make this large, not too large, but enough. And then the opacity, to give it that look. Yeah. There we go. Very nice. And then the next thing that I like to do is fix the nose. Because the nose, unfortunately, eye brush. Make it a little lighter. Just give a little bit of sense on the nose. And it just adds a little bit more form to Sophia as she is. But there we go. Sophie is done. And her shadow. I feel like I need to fix a little bit of her shadow. Double tap, double click, spread on her shadow, size, distance. I don't want it to be too big though. For spread, size, just a hint, just so that it doesn't look like she's nothing. Alright, but there we go. Alright. And I've been doing this for a couple of hours. But there we go. Sophia's done. And I do want to make her an NFT if possible, but still looking for the right thing to do so. And the last thing that I do with all my stuff is you have to sign it. And what I like to do is hide whatever I'm signing within whatever I see. So let's use orange. Do that. This. And the thing is, you sign where you can, but also in a place where if someone tries to do anything, it makes it slightly less tamper-proof, so just one of those things. Turn off that, and so once you sign it, you do a few things. You darken, dissolve, color burn, light drop. I kind of like to do many different things, but I just like to hide it in it. Change the opacity just so that it goes through everything. And make it smaller so that it's harder to see and doesn't disrupt anything that I've done. And we drop that down even lower. And then it just disappears from whatever painting, drawing, or anything that you have. Simple tricks. Because it'll still be there. It'll just be very faint. And Command S or Control S. Alright. So, I keep calling her Sophie. Yeah, I understand. It may change appearance, yes. I understand that'll happen. So, there we have that one. And then, I did this one a while back. I wanted to continue it, but uh, I'm mostly just doing simple things for today. And I wanted to show exactly how I draw and what is my process. So the first thing, create a background, find a character, whatever you want. I just draw. So depending on if I'm online or if if I'm just doing things for my own benefit, I tend to do things in a way that people don't realize that we all do it. So not that. So, okay. And we have this. Not that. So we have that. And then that. We have that. And I haven't been playing the music this whole time for, well, obvious reason. Uh, I'm mostly just trying to focus on what I'm doing. And to me, everything is a teachable moment. Whether people see that out or not, it's arbitrary. um, but all things can be devised into shapes, including this. So I'll show you real quick. So the first thing is we all see shapes, whether we want to or not. And the best way to sort of visualize or draw something is to see it in shapes. So what I'm doing right now is how we actually see it, and how we tend to visualize all this stuff into multiple different shapes and forms, and we put a sense to it, and then we add it to our mind's eye in some way or fashion. But this is the generalization of how we see all things. And yes, my pen is actually doing that in real time, where it's slightly drawing where it's not really needed to draw anything, and then circle or not. But there we go. And I do love elves. Don't get me started with elves, because I love to draw them. I love their pointy ears. I love unique ears too. They're always fun. But yeah, that's just the simple gist of it. And from this, you can actually get a decent drawing out of it. So if you finish it right here, where you have that, and then you bring it around here, so you have that, and then from there you can actually create a piece of artwork from that. It's not as straightforward, but and I'll show you exactly how I can create something from just this. And it's not hard, it's pretty simple. So you take everything, so make sure it's on the right layer though. But you take everything like this, you curve it up, and yes, my my stuff automatically likes to do this. And yeah, I really hate when it does that, but then you take this. You don't put in the air just yet, but you put that up. So you have that, you have this, and you have this. So you have that, this, and the twist. So now the next thing you do is draw the nose so you can understand where you can place your ear and whatnot. Mouth. You can make it big or small. And yes, people think elves are only towards Easter and all that. Well, not Easter, but Christmas. Elves like all times of the years, but people don't see it that way. And so on and so forth, but see, you have something. I'm gonna delete it though. Actually, I'm just gonna turn it off. And go for my sketch. I like my sketch better. Yeah. You just have to be careful on how you draw things. Computers do have a lackluster of drawing things correctly, and you have to redo it multiple different times. But sketches and all that stuff help to visualize and get everything out on paper when you actually need to get it out on paper. Otherwise, it stays in the mind and it goes nowhere. And yes, I go everywhere with my drawings and all that stuff. But you can create crazy ears, all that stuff. But you have to be very careful on how you create the ears and make sure that they look like they can actually be created. So, one of the very few things that are just hard to do. And you may have to redraw everything multiple different times. Just a heads up for any type of artist, person who draws, whatever. They will redo their paintings. They will redo their artwork. Everything is not set in stone for them. Because until it is the final piece, it will not be put out there for anybody else to see. And the thing is, I like to do things in an odd fashion, where everything is out there, but in a way that no one would have expected it to be out there. And I do my eyes differently all the time. So if you look at your nose, it goes to the bottom of your earlobes. So, or relative to. You can stretch it to a certain degree, but when you get too far out there, it doesn't look quite right. And then the mouth has to be somewhat proportionate to where you want it. I know people like to have lessons and not lessons and yada yada. I just like to draw. And I do like to teach people, but I do wish teaching would be free in the sense that people could learn and not be hassled by the government of any reason. But I don't like to get into politics or anything like that. I'm only what I am. So let's see. So we have this one, that one, Command T on both of those. And just make it smaller. Put it in place. And I just have this as a 5x7. And sometimes when you draw something, it actually looks pretty good just by the sketch alone. And you can leave it like that if that's the look you're going for. But it's best to finish off anything that you're doing. So, and especially with women or anything like that, you have to create their clothing. You can't just have everything bare and you go from there. It doesn't work like that all the time. You actually have to be a designer in the slightest way. Just so that anytime that you do something, you're designing not for yourself, but for your character. And people take pride in what they draw. It is what they draw that defines their living sometimes. And some artists wish to be like that when they truly can't. I just wanted to get this one started. But there we go. This somewhat drawing. And I'll fix her dress and all that later. But I'm going to stop the live stream here. And yes, I know I'm stopping at a distant part. Well, a part where I didn't finish. But I wanted to just finish the doing of Sophie's Sifi or whatever I named her. But I also wanted to show you guys what I've been working on. And what I've been doing for the last, well, few years. So, the thing is, I'm trying to create a card deck. These are my drawings. And yes, they are extremely large, and they can be enlarged. But, yes, this is just the twos. I'm still trying to finish them off, but this is what I have at the moment. I've been working on these for the last couple of years. And I haven't had enough funds to sort of support my just drawing of anything. It's only enough to support what I earn. Not anything more than that. Let's see, open. But I would love to just draw and draw and draw. But of course, we all have to get grounded in reality. Posters, drawings, digital art, Corieste, Desfat. And I'm working on comics as well. Uh, Corieste version 6. So, that is one of the comics I have. Corieste. Desfa is another. Um, but the World of Cards. And then there is also another one I have, uh, which is called Chained by Fate. But I'm not going to go into that one right now as much, because that one is one that I will, I haven't finished it up. I'm still working on the progress of that. Because it is getting there. It'll just take some time. And the only way I'll have time is to sort of focus on it. I haven't had time to focus on it lately, but this is what I'm trying to do. I'm literally trying to create artwork for everyone, and not everything, but the first thing is Chained by Fate starts in a dystopian world. I'm not going to tell you the details. You will have to read it later to find out. I'm trying to do this on Webtoon, and once I have it finished, I'll show everything. But yes, these are the cards that I have finished. Drawings, all that. But I have multiple different files of all my stuff, just so that I can start on what I want to start on. So the 2s, this is version 19 of the revisions. I haven't started on the 3s yet. I haven't started on anything from 3 to 10. I've done all the aces. So I went through 22 revisions on that one, give or take. I haven't started on the jacks. I completed the jokers with around 13 revisions. It was around the same, but I put a lot of my heart into all these different types of decks. Well, different types of drawings and whatnot. I will put out videos for my cards later on of what I did, what I drew, and all that stuff. But that won't start until later. I'm just trying to do a stream every week, and the more subscribers I get, the closer I get to the goal of what I'm actually trying to achieve. I use a Mac, I use Windows, I use Linux, but for drawing purposes I use a Mac because it has less errors than Windows and other operating systems. But I'm trying to do things to my best ability, and I really do hope that I can start making all my stuff, creating my posters, going to art events on a regular. And that would be a good thing in my life where that could support me. I do hope that you will continue to be with me on this journey as I also do cryptocurrency and all that stuff. I love cryptocurrency. It is a means to an end, but it's also something that I'm very interested in, and I believe in it because it is what our future is going to end up as. It is what our monetary currency will end up as. That and metal. So, and eventually cryptocurrency will just be backed by metal itself. And that's really how it should be, is where everything is backed by anything you bought, anything that you did, or anything that you um, have that has a monetary value. Um, no one should actually determine what you're worth, because everybody is worth something different in different ways. Uh, Someone could be a perfect artist but has a speech impediment, or something that just doesn't make them look attractive to others. It's all those things are minor in the sense that they are you. You cannot change who you are, but if you show artwork or if you do this or that and you actually get it done, then your abilities show, far outweighing the sum of what you truly are. Let's go back to the main camera. But yeah, just showing what you're actually feeling, what you're doing, all that you are, in a way, actually in every way it's beautiful. And I do love art. I have always loved art. I've been drawing since kindergarten. I've had a lot of practice. I have degrees that back up who I am. And those degrees are a piece of paper. But sometimes those pieces of paper get you into the door. Even though they may have cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars by going to college or things like that. College is necessary on certain levels, and it is not necessary on other levels that can actually improve life and whatnot. But all knowledge, you do have to pay for some degree of knowledge in order to understand it. And my knowledge of learning things through connections and my artwork and all that stuff, understanding the technology behind me, understanding that servers and connections and all that thing, all that stuff is intertwined together. It is a beautiful thing. It is also very complicated and convoluted in some aspects and reason, but it is what it is. But I do mine in every bit and aspect of my house. It is what I do. It is a second part to what I do as a job. People don't consider YouTube to be a job. They don't consider staying at a computer to be any sort of job or fashion. But streamers and all that stuff and everything that puts forth to some reason of any doubt, it is what you make of it. It is not what people always think that it is, but it is what you see. It is what you know. It is what you believe. But the thing is, everybody has different ideals. You cannot change that, nor understand their reasoning sometimes. But you have to understand that you have to accept and understand that acceptance of that. It is not as complicated as what I'm making it out to be, but I want to draw as one of the things that just becomes something crucial and part of my life, as one of the main things that would earn me income. One way is through YouTube, yes. Another way is through other means by selling clothes and stuff like that on the side just to make ends meet. Um, I am living paycheck to paycheck. It is what it is. No one will actually pay you enough to what people think you are worth. Sometimes people are worth more than what their job entails. And every job for me will not entail enough pay for what stress it causes, what life damages it causes later in life, and to what implications and um, inclinations and um, things that scale to the height that can actually hurt your body later in life. Um, thing is, with having a headpiece or anything covering your ears on and not having it even out on both of your ears, you will have a hearing problem later in life. There's no way to avoid that. And the only way to actually sort of even it out is to wear headphones um, to somewhat of some degree. And headphones do damage your ear just slightly every so often, but it is not as damaging as having um, just an earpiece on one of your ears, because it can cause you to hear a ping every so often, and no one wants that. I do love gaming, and I did buy a Steam Deck. Let me show you. I'll be right back. Here we go. Alright. I did buy a Steam Deck. Yes, yes, you can see my computers. But yeah, I bought a Steam Deck a while back, and I do love it. It is a fun platform, and the thing is, I play many different games. I play everything from strategy to basically sim games. Uh, and yes, I've played The Sims 4. It's very addicting. Any simulation game is very addicting because it does take a lot of time out of your hand. Uh, some sim games I can just leave on the computer, let it run, and I'll be back in an hour or two, or a day. There are some sim games like that, but the thing is, the simulation games of how much I actually push it, um, it can destroy a graphics card to where everything comes down to a crawl. But no, I like all different types of games, shooters, all that, um, things with a lot of blood. That I do like playing those games, um, and the thing is, what people don't realize is that shooters, yes, they can hurt you, and yes, um, they they can cause violence and all that stuff. But the thing is, you have to realize not everybody is going to be like that. Out of many different studies of what people have tried to sort of put through fact and realize fact and fiction, the point the point that I'm making is that shooters, yes, they can cause violence and they can cause um, a change in someone's psyche of what is right and what is wrong. The thing is, everyone has to cultivate that during life and know what is fantasy, what is not fantasy. Uh, those who cannot separate reality from the game, they shouldn't be playing the games thus forth, but that's only around 10% of the population. Uh, and yes, I say 10%. It is a large number in accordance with everything. But there are studies out there showing that there's even less of a percentage that actually have damage or something that just people aren't phased. But I'm I love scary things. I love stories. The thing is, the identity of behind me is I love all stories. It doesn't matter how lewd or how sexual it may become. I just love every different type of story. That is the truth of who I am. I like all stories, whether they be whatever they are. Because if it's a good story, I will play it again. I will um, I will look at the thing and I'll compile it in my head and put it in my library within my mind. And I do want to bring out those stories and comics and all that stuff. Because I want to make comics. I want to make cards, playing cards that actually have four Jokers. It's like I can't find one that has four Jokers in it. I looked online for a while back. I looked online for a bunch of cards that had Jokers in them. I could find none. And I mean none. With four Jokers in it. I have a deck that does have four Jokers. It's an old deck. It is made by Hot Wheels. Yes. Hot Wheels created a deck that had four Jokers included inside the deck. Um, and yes, I want to create a deck that is hand-drawn. Each one does take around 6 hours to draw each card. But once I'm done with that, I will make another deck that'll have an alternate cover and a few changes. I will not change 1 through 10. I will only change the jacks, the queens, the kings, and the jokers. Those are the only things that I'm going. Oh, and the aces. So, I'm only going to change 5 cards out of the deck. Well, five face cards out of the deck. But 2 through 10 will remain the same. The aces will change, but everything else will remain the same. And yeah, I know I've left this stream on for quite a while. Let's see, what is the hour? It's an hour and 30 minutes. But I'm a gamer. I'm a retro enthusiast. And I love art. And I want to make my own stories. And the thing is, my situation doesn't present that for me. But you can support me on Patreon, but the thing is, I'm still working to fix my Patreon. The best thing that you can do right now for me is have many other people subscribe to this channel. I will be uploading once or twice every week. On Friday, through Sunday, one of those 3 days, and I'll most likely do it late at night, or I'll most likely just do it on Saturday. But it'll either be on Saturday, Sunday, or Friday. More likely the latter of Saturday and Sunday. But I do hope to see you guys again, or not really see you, more of just show you my artwork and all that. But please join again, and I will upload videos constantly for just streaming. And if you do want to see the new live streams, then go ahead. I will be changing some of the videos up just so that I can look at them and I don't cringe. But none of my content is changing, and my channel is not disappearing. I am constantly trying to get back to the constant role of going through YouTube, doing all this streaming, and in the process making the video that I really want to make. Uh, but if anybody has any questions, or if anybody wants to see anything, um, like a video of how I draw, or um, just an uh, just any suggestion, I will take them at face value, and I will look through the comments to see what you would want to see in the next video or in the next stream. I will not be streaming constantly, and I will not be um, posting videos every so often. But I will be doing this towards the nighttime, so it'll either start on Saturday at 9 p.m. or 8 o'clock, or somewhere near there. So I'll most likely do it at 7:30, just to keep this in a normal routine, so that I don't get as tired. So, and I don't fall asleep. So I'll most likely do it at 7:30 to a couple of hours. So it may be 2 hours or an hour and a half, like it was today. So for the most part, an hour and a half. I don't know what happened before, where my live stream just cut off, but I will do it at least once to twice every week, from 7:30 to whenever I stop. Maybe 4 hours from now. Or it may be even sooner, so it really depends on how I'm actually feeling. But I will do it once every week. It will be on a Saturday or Sunday for the most part, and I'll keep it to 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, not any not anywhere else. But I do hope everyone supports me, or helps me continue on this journey. And if you do subscribe, please look at my different channel. Well, not my different channel, but on Twitter, Instagram, and my Instagram is in Artilethim, and my Twitter is Fairshect. Yes, everything's either Fairshect, Artilethim, or TechArtist41. Well, I'm going to sign off for today before I fall asleep. I've just been talking so much that I've just been really tired. But I do hope to stream soon, and I'll probably see you next Saturday at 7:30. Alright? This is TechArtist41 signing off.